get into our live Q&A. Make sure that you're using hashtag NFL or Super Chat. Jacob, appreciate that you're tuning in. Should the Jets trade for Trent Williams?
Really interesting question. I think they could certainly use him, although they did make, I would argue, the strange decision to pay for George Fant to maybe play left or right tackle. They drafted Chuma Edoga last year. They've added some other players at that position. But Williams would instantly be that team's best offensive lineman. They do kind of benefit from having an extra pick. They got an extra one from the Leonard Williams trade. I think in the end, the Jets might try and do what the rest of the NFL might be trying to do, is kind of wait a little bit. See what happens if no team makes a trade for Williams on day 1 or 2 of the NFL draft. Maybe you call on day 3, or maybe you try and call the Redskins' bluff and don't trade for him and try and sign him if they have to end up cutting him.
Let's go to this next question from Hannah. Hannah was watching the show last week and looks like she's back. Should the Chiefs sign a quarterback in free agency or draft one?
At this point, you might be better off just drafting one, but I think maybe the best path for Kansas City is you see what the board looks like when you end up getting into, round 1, round 2, round 3. If you find a corner you like there, then you take him. Then after free agency ends, maybe Logan Ryan is little, maybe Aqib Talib is still out there. You can still sign somebody, but I would prioritize the draft at this point with like 2 weeks to go and then worry about free agency after that.
Totally agree. I mean, I think you're looking at a player like, I don't know, Christian Fulton at pick 32 or like a guy like Eli Apple in free agency. To me, I think it's a no-brainer. Let's go to the next question wow.
Yeah, Winston got you.
Winston Shan. This is a picture from my very first Chat Sports video. This was actually my interview, in fact. So, should the NFL extend the draft time from 10 minutes to 15?
I actually don't hate this idea. I don't know if you need to expand the round 1 times, because you do still have plenty of time. I think the NFL should consider it. Frankly, yeah. I think the NFL should just go to a round a day. Why not? There's nothing else to do. Just go with 7 rounds on 7 days, dominate the entire week, do it that way. Then you could expand the time if you need to. Of course, we would be allowed no matter what. But I think for the NFL, maybe not round 1 you expand the time. Maybe in the later rounds you try and add like an extra minute. What you could also potentially see them do is push back the start of undrafted free agency sign, which only happens if not during round 7, after round 7. Give it an extra bit of time because there's going to be a lot more chaos in war rooms than we're used to seeing come round 7.
Speaking of probably a war room at some point, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, they finally split up. We will get back into the questions, so make sure that you're using hashtag NFL, or you can super chat to get on the show. But we do have a question. Who's going to have more wins in 2020? Type TB for Brady and the Buccaneers, or type BB for Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots?
Can I wait to answer until I see what the Patriots do at quarterback?
No.
Okay, give me Brady then. TB.
Yeah.
I think there is at least a possibility the Patriots tank this year. And at that point, it's obviously going to be Tom Brady, and maybe the Patriots try and tank for Lawrence or Fields or something crazy. So I will hedge my bet, and I'll go with TB instead.
I think every single person should be typing TB. I don't have any confidence in Jarrett Stidham whatsoever. Sorry. Call me crazy. Let's go to my man, Omar. What up, Omar? Looking like Shaggy. Wasn't me. Should the Browns go for Clowney, even with Vernon and Garrett already on the roster?
Mitch, I appreciate your double reference right there. That was good. I think, Omar, if the Browns go for Clowney, I think they might move on from Vernon. That's a lot of money to pay to a number 3 edge. There's not that much guarantee, I don't believe, left in his contract. So at that point, I'd probably roll with Garrett and Clowney, move on from Vernon, and then probably spend a mid-ish late-round pick on some more depth at the edge rusher spot.
It'd be a really fun defensive line to watch. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully the Browns actually win some football games this year. All right, let's go to my man, Dante Ante. Since my quarterback also always starts his questions off with my team, my quarterback, Russell Wilson, shouted out Jadeveon Clowney. Will my Seahawks bring Clowney?
So for those of you who don't know what he's referring to, I think it was an Instagram Live that Russell Wilson was doing. Someone asked him if Clowney was going to come back, and Wilson basically begged Clowney to return to the Seattle Seahawks. I still think Seattle is the front runner for Clowney, and I would suspect that Clowney knows he has a standing offer from Seattle. But I think on that front, he has to make a decision, because if we get through the draft and Seattle spends an early round pick on an edge, I don't know if the Seahawks make sense then. So I think the Seattle's still the favorite, but it's not by a whole lot.
And if Russell Wilson wants Clowney so bad, he's got enough money where I think he could maybe throw a few million at Clowney, but I think Clowney's doing okay for
that's not allowed.
Too. Not allowed. Nah,
oh.
You can figure out a way. I could Venmo you $5 million if I'm Russell Wilson. Let's go to Jackson. What up, Jackson? Where do you think Stephen Gostkowski will sign? So Gostkowski, I believe he's the all-time point leader for the New England Patriots, 14-year career, and is released. So, Tom, where do you think the kicker's going?
Well, he's coming off injury, so that's a bit of a red flag for Gostkowski, and I think that's why. There's a common theme for a lot of these players that are left unsigned. It's either A, their market just isn't what they want in terms of playing time or money, but I think more importantly, there's been some issues when it comes to health, and I think that's an issue for Gostkowski. I think it's a lower body injury, kind of a big deal for a kicker. So I don't have a great feel for where Gostkowski ends up. He might wait until maybe training camp, whenever that is, and then see, okay, which kicker's struggling, and slide right into that team instead.
If you're anybody like me and you need a haircut, maybe you should cover up your hair with a new hat. Just saying. Chatsports.com/NFL draft hat. All NFL teams, you can go out and get your team's draft hat. Chatsports.com/NFL draft hat. Tom, all right, maybe not the Chargers one. Or actually, it's not the Chargers. Just kidding. So, Tom, I don't know about you, man, but this whole not being able to get a haircut thing, it is really starting to impact the way that I look, and I might actually have to start wearing one of these draft hats on a Chat Sports show real soon.
I don't know if we'll sign off on that, but I'll tell you what, unlike most years, Mitch, these hats are actually really good. They've been just trying to do way too much in the past. They went back with simple, and I think it's going to pay off for them.
Simple, yet very effective. Chatsports.com/NFL draft hat. If you can't remember it, we'll put it in the comments. We'll put it in the description down below. Let's go to Clay Putoff. Do the Broncos have the best defensive line in the NFL? Von Miller, Jurrell Casey, Shelby Harris, and Bradley Chubb.
I mean, if you're including just like the pass rushing unit as defensive line, I think they're up there. I mean, I really like Jurrell Casey. I think Shelby Harris is a nice number 2. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. I think they're certainly up there in the discussion. The Rams are so thin when it comes to edge rushers. Maybe they're kind of out of the running now, even though Aaron Donald, I think, is certainly worth mentioning. Houston doesn't have Clowney anymore, so I think that does make some sense. I think Denver, definitely one of those teams up there. I think, frankly, the Niners, though, especially if they add an early round pick, they still might have that spot.
What about the Bills?
Yeah, I like the Bills front, but I don't love the Bills front necessarily. Okay. It's still good, but I think that's a fair one to mention.
Clay, appreciate the question. Let's go to Tony. Tony doesn't need a babysitter, just so everyone's clear. What does it take for Miami to grab Yannick Ngakoue from Jacksonville?
I don't know what Yannick's price tag is going to be in terms of the trade. Money-wise, very, very expensive, but I think that's fine in the end. That's, you're worth paying a guy who's going to get you 8 sacks every single year, the first year he's been there, and he's still young and developing along. The Dolphins have the assets to make it work, right? The Jags allegedly want a first-round pick. The Dolphins have 3 of them. They're obviously not getting number 5. Maybe 26, that pick, maybe. Maybe they trade down, add extra picks, and trade one of those even later in round 1. Maybe you offer your early second-round pick since it's pretty close to being a first. I think Miami's in pretty decent shape, though, when it comes to edges, having signed guys like Shaq Lawson in free agency and Emmanuel Ogbah as well, and Kyle Van Noy can pressure the quarterback as well. Miami still makes sense because they still have money to spend. I just wonder if Jacksonville's going to try and be really stubborn with him in the end.
Let's go to this next question from my man David Blaze. And remember, if you want your question on the show, use hashtag NFL or you can super chat. What do you think of Anthony Gordon out of Washington State for the Raiders in the 3rd for their last pick? So the Raiders have 3 third-round picks, 80, 81, and 91. I think Anthony Gordon is a sleeper. However, I don't really know if he has that much arm talent, and I don't really think it's swinging for the fences. I think if you're going to take a quarterback, I think actually the most likely candidate is actually Jalen Hurts for the Raiders. What do you think, Tom?
I don't mind Gordon. I think if you want to make sure you get him, round 3 is probably where you start considering it. I don't know if he gets there in round 4 for the Raiders. So If you think Gordon can develop into your franchise guy, then yeah, take him in round 3. I still think there's a lot of development left to be done. But if you're looking for a mid to late round developmental guy, I think Gordon does make sense in that mold.
If you love the NFL, we got news, rumors, draft coverage. We do everything here. Just because the Big C is slowing down sports, it's not slowing down chat sports. We are a live and interactive YouTube channel as well. So sometimes you guys got to get away from the real world. We're here to help you do that. Go down there, click that big red button that says subscribe. We'll put it in the comments section if you can't find the subscribe button, and turn on those notifications so you know every single time that we go live. Right now, we're going live Mondays and Wednesdays, and we'll be live for the entire NFL draft, all 7 rounds. Let's go to Ida Boss. What up, Ida Boss? One of our loyal watchers. Should the Giants trade back into the first round if Andrew Thomas or Tyler, I can never say his name, fall in the mid to late 20s?
Biotish. Tyler Biotish. So 2 different answers to both these players. Andrew Thomas, yes, in a heartbeat. Frankly, I would be stunned if Andrew Thomas fell into the 20s. There are too many teams, the Dolphins, the Bucks, the Broncos, that could take him in the mid to late teens. That would be a huge stunner for me. Meanwhile, for Tyler Biotish, I think you can get him in round 2 with ease. I don't think he's going to go in round 1. He didn't have that great of a year this year. He's coming off a bit of an injury, didn't play as well as he did back in 2018. I think a lot of us overhyped him that 2018 season. He regressed in 2019. If you want Biotish, just stand pat, take him in round 2. I think he'll be there.